And this book is one of those that it's very rare where someone in politics does a book that you can't put down. Actually, Sarah Vine did one recently.
Right,
the famous one is Alan Clark Diaries, Damien McBride's book. And yours, Simon, you're in it's a very narrow shelf of interesting political books. Congratulations. So I'll just mention the political career. You served as Welsh Secretary under Boris Johnson and Chief Whip during Rishi Sunak's tenure. And the point about Chief Whip is you kind of are doing behind-the-scenes party management, right? So you see everything. And you don't talk about it much. I love that.
Simon, you're on television. You're on television.
The Chief Whip is completely like that. So your job is to find out who's having a nervous breakdown, find out who's involved in a scandal no one knows about, make sure everyone gets to vote on time. Really, you're down and dirty with them.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the actual role, the official role, the traditional role is to get the government's business done, to get stuff through the House of Commons, through the House of Lords. And then it's everything else that nobody wants to deal with beyond that. Literally everything else which goes on, from allocating offices to, granting people leave to go on holiday, or in Matt Hancock's case, to go on I'm a Celebrity, but and that kind of thing. Although he didn't get. I was
going to say you didn't give permission for that, no.
And so there's a bit of everything in the role.
And Boris Johnson obviously really liked you, although you're a Remainer, I gather. But he said, "Come and join my government." And you then, essentially, the book tells the story of being involved in what becomes a complete carnival, doesn't it? A complete carnival.
It does, and I mean, it's very difficult, and you're right to sort of say that these things don't normally get written by chief whips. I've tried to be as careful as I can on that and deal with the accusation sort of on page one. But the purpose of the book, I start with the exit poll of December 19, and we finish with the exit poll of July 2024. And it's just a question of how the heck did we go from unassailable to unelectable and through 3 prime ministers in 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And so there was a sort of serious element.
Looking at the time, I often use the word ungovernable, thinking that this country's become a bit ungovernable. I don't know whether you're referring to Britain or the Conservative Party with that word.
No, I'm talking about Britain. I'm talking about, look, it happened to us. It's happening to Labour. And as long as political parties continue to make promises they can't possibly keep, then it's going to happen to other parties too.
Yeah.
And the level of expectation which is being built up is being followed by an extreme level of disappointment.
Rapidly.
And people's faith in individual politicians and politics has taken a dive as a result. Yeah. Consequence of that is, there is a serious... Although I've tried to make it funny and jaw-dropping, there's bits... which are also a bit me trying to be serious.
Well, I'm basically in it for the stories, I must say. And here's one, right? This is Saturday, the 30th of April, 2022. Oh dear, right, Simon. It emerges my good friend Neil Parish, who's the MP for Tiverton, has been caught looking at porn in the chamber. His 23 years as an MP and MEP in Europe go up in smoke in an instant. And you kind of then talk about just the way he's hounded. Firstly, he's not identified. He's known as a porn Tory. We did graphics on it. And then the poor guy emerges and he has to do one of these kind of hostage videos. And then, as you say, he's just kicked out. Did you not feel like this is too brutal?
Well, I remember Neil's. I don't remember. God, I remember it only too clearly. It sort of brings me out in a sweat. And his wife.
This is the guy who was looking at tractor porn. I'd never heard of that term before.
He was looking. I'm going to defend him now because we've had it. Yeah. I think he shouldn't have resigned. He was looking for a type of tractor called the Dominator.
Right.
Yeah. When everyone it's good when all the crew start laughing.
Okay.
When he looked at the Dominator, he got some pornographic pictures in the Commons. The mistake he made was, instead of shutting them down, as I understand it, he then looked at them again later.
Oh.
Not tractors.
Right.
Now, could you not say, Neil, hang on, we're there for you?
Well, I think that is exactly the point. I think there are lots of occasions in politics where people come across difficult times, they make stupid mistakes, they make judgments which they deeply regret. And I think one of the points I've tried to make in the book is I don't think we are very good at helping people, first of all, avoid those situations, mentoring, training, all those sort of boring HR expressions which people scoff at. But, we give people massive authority, massive responsibility, massive budgets and say, so get on with it. And by the way, don't ever cock up, don't ever get it wrong, don't ever put a foot out of place, because if you do, you're out the door, pal.
Yeah.
And that is, and so I don't think we are helping really good people, often really good people who just fall on difficult times as well as we should. And if there are a million things I would change, helping people and make sure they don't get into that muddle in the first place would be one of them.
Then you have, I could do you 30 entries in this brilliant book, I must say. So Liz Truss, and obviously by that stage I think you're not in government, correct? Because she canned you.
She had not made the phone call.
Right, yeah. So you say this is Wednesday the 5th of October, you're watching as a backbencher. I watched from behind the sofa Truss's main conference speech. She speaks for 25 minutes, including a welcome interruption by Greenpeace. It was thankfully dull, with lots of platitudes and some weird hand and eye movements, which I think she might have been encouraged to use by a media trainer, but has failed to totally master. The whole thing is reminiscent of the runner-up in a sixth form public speaking performance. Oh,
yeah. I mean, by the way, the thing about a diary, as opposed to a sort of a memoir, is it is how it felt on the day.
Sure.
And sometimes there are entries in that book, and I look back and think, God, that's possibly I might have written that differently.
Well,
if it had been a day later.
It was worse than you thought.
Liz, we were elected on the same day. I mean, we were in a really strange place. And I mean, if we're trying to, as James cleverly described, sort of be a more normal party, try to appeal to the broadest sort of cross-section of statutory, we've got to be relatable. And we've got to be, people have got to look at us and think, actually, I wouldn't mind going for a drink with that guy or that girl.
So when you watched the Liz Truss speech, you just thought it's curtains?
I just thought it was weird. I just didn't know what was going on. I thought it was I don't know how to describe it. It was just one of these things. I thought, if I'm hiding behind the sofa, if I think this is weird, if I don't think that, punters in my part of West Wales where I live are going to completely understand this, then what hope?
But Simon, she must have rehearsed that in front of people, party managers or somebody, or the media trainer. What made her or them think that that was acceptable?
A very good question. I mean, one wonders what the first...
She's fallen on in the paddock. I mean, it's just not going to happen, is it? It's unfortunate.
How easy it is to be vicious after the event. How easy it is to know this couldn't possibly have worked. That was somebody giving a speech. If that had been successful, you wouldn't say any of the things that you are saying now. Now, can I throw you a challenge, please?
Yeah, of course.
Right. I can remember a very different whip's office when confidentiality was 100%. May have been very boring for the public and the press, but it was 100%, and people felt safe to go into the whip's office and say if they were in any difficulty. Do you think that after the publication of a book like that, people will trust the whip's office?
Well, I think I tried to deal with that actually on page 1.
You keep referring to page 1. What does it say?
Well, it's actually, is there a situation where you can write a book about your experiences in the whip's office and maintain that sort of degree of confidentiality? If you read the book, and I don't know if you've had a chance to do so.
I think she hasn't read page 1, so we've got to assume she hasn't started it.
If you read the book, you'll see, first of all, it's gone through, countless sort of legal processes. It's been signed off by the Cabinet Office. So we've attempted to be absolutely sort of faithful to that idea without... but also recognising that if we're to fully understand why we went from sort of hero to zero, why we won so well in 2019 and lost so badly in 2024, we have to hold up a mirror to ourselves a bit and ask ourselves some serious questions about what went wrong. It wasn't about the date of the year that the election was or whether Rishi Sunak made a speech in the rain. It's about a more fundamental problem that we were suffering from. And I think we can all just bury these things. And I think the idea that Whip's office should be the Department of Covering Up is a mistake. We have to confront.
I'm glad I'm not dealing with the Whip's office today.
Well, listen, Henry and I, as journalists, will be fully in favour of books that reveal things. So
of course you will.
Two against one here.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is just to remind you how crazy the whole thing went. This is 26th of February, 2024. A Times journalist is sniffing around a story from the North West in which one MP called Mark Menzies, MP for Fylde, has managed to acquire thousands of pounds from a campaign account to pay for two blackmailers who were holding him hostage in the middle of the night. it goes in. I mean, how on earth do you deal with it? You wake up in the morning as the guy who's been held hostage.
Yeah. This, by the way, reported in the Times, so it's not the sort of in the sense of revelation, and so it was a very public story. At
Yes,
the time.
you don't
and
have
I
to
think
worry about
in a sense, I repeat what I said about Neil Parish. Here was a person who was in all sorts of difficulty, and the question for me is, in a sense, not to revel in his discomfort, but to ask the question: what measures were in place to have avoided this happening in the first place? How could we have helped him better? How could we have intercepted this before it became the sort of salacious scandal story that it was? And in the aftermath, and by the way, the police inquiry into all of that has just been dropped in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And was the requisite amount of sort of assistance, expert assistance? In the end, the Whip's office is a bunch of politicians. We're not HR people.
Well, you're MPs.
We're not grief
counsellors.
counsellors.
But Simon,
There's a lot of things we're not.
But in order for you to have got ahead of that, wouldn't Mark Menzies have pretty early doors had to come to you and said, "I'm involved in this. It's very embarrassing.
No.
I need help."
No,
Not if they're going to write books
I think
about
the idea. I think the idea that, by the way, people sort of form a queue outside the office to come to like a confessional is a myth.
Oh, really?
We discovered stuff. Very few people came in and volunteered it. What we should have done, and what we still could do, and I think what all political parties should do, is to make sure that when it comes to selecting your candidates, the people you want to be your MPs, that there is a process which identifies strengths and weaknesses more thoroughly, so that where there are brilliant people, and there are some brilliant people who are flawed, we can, it's like the old psychometric testing sort of thing. You can.
I can tell you about psychometric testing.
I thought that might be a triggering.
I can tell you about psychometric testing.
But I think that
I can.
then we can make sure that these guys, the risk is minimised.
I understand.
And at the
But
moment, we're not doing that.
Yeah, it's true. But we do not want a bunch of robots in there.
Here,
Look
here,
at Anne,
here.
who is a three-dimensional person. Every day she's on this show, someone rings up saying you should be Prime Minister.
Can I throw in something about psychometric testing? I really must do this. William Hague experimented with it. And we had the Daily Mail organised a test, and they got a very good, in inverted commas, firm to do psychometric testing. Anonymously, they sent us questionnaires, which we filled in and sent back. I was proclaimed a danger to the Tory party and Neil Hamilton the ideal candidate.
Wow. It's the other way around. Yeah. All right, there is the book. Simon's book, Ungovernable, The Political Diaries of a Chief Whip, is available now. That very, very rare category of interesting books, fascinating books about politics. It's all in there. And you can tell the secrets are in there because Anne's cross.